let's get started. The most important thing in astrophotography is your mount, not the telescope like most people would like to tell you. The mount is important because it has to be very precise. The beginner's mount, you're going to be okay with getting away with whatever stock comes with the telescope that you purchase and decide to buy, but I am recommending for all deep space objects using a Celestron, at minimum 6-inch or 8-inch Celestron CPC series. You don't need to go and get the fancy glass and spend too much money on that. But with this Celestron SCT telescope is what that's called. That's abbreviation for Schmidt-Cassegrain. You can get planets and you can get deep sky objects, nebula, anything in narrowband, anything in the broadband spectrums. You will have pictures that will be mind-blowing, and you could do this all in one night. So what I have going on here with this mount, this is a German equatorial mount that can polar align and move with the Earth as the sky rotates across your head. That is very important because your exposures are going to be taking place at 30 seconds minimum most of the time. And you want this telescope to literally track the object as it moves across the night sky. You're going to be taking up to possibly 2 to 5 hours of these images and hundreds of images a night. At that rate, your mount is something you cannot have fail, that you need to be reliant on. And this Skywatcher EQ6 Pro mount has done me right for quite some time. I highly recommend it. This mount has a hand control device that you can use to input your latitude and longitudinal coordinates and tell it where you are. And this will automatically track the stars in the night sky as they go by. You just type in the coordinates. It'll even point to the first star it needs to calibrate and align itself with, and done. This thing takes over and drives for you. When you just type in Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto, you type in a nebula, you type in M42, the Horsehead, this thing will track it and find it and stay on it. So, with that being said, what I have going on here is a very expensive, just kidding, $10 piece of equipment from Home Depot. I looked online for a dew shield. This dew shield normally costs $200 minimum. I'm not paying $200 for a little black tube. So I spray painted a piece of round cardboard and I made a dew shield for super cheap. The rest of it is pretty expensive. So, when you purchase your telescope, whatever you decide to purchase, I highly recommend the 8-inch for the good blend of planetary and deep sky object imaging. Right here we have this camera that's attached to this Celestron. Now you're probably thinking, if you've seen any telescope before, why is the camera in the front of the telescope? Why is it not in the back of the telescope where you'd normally look through and see the objects in space? That is because we have removed the secondary mirror and put in place an object device called a hyperstar. It is essentially a focal reducer that speeds up the photons getting to the camera. So the camera will then go in front on your telescope. The starlight comes in, bounces off your primary in the mirror in the back, shoots all those photons right up to this camera. This camera absorbs those photons on its sensor, and using USB 3.0 sends that data to this computer, which then processes that, or you can do post-processing on your own computer system later on. But this is called an ASI Air, and this component is incredibly useful and very important to have, in my opinion, for beginner to intermediate astrophotographers. Expert and advanced astrophotographers like a little bit more control, and so they use a laptop and a software called Nina, which is completely acceptable too. I prefer the quick, easy, fire and forget ASI Plus. ASI Plus has an iPad app or an Android app. It's compatible with everything. You just download it, install it, you connect it to your network or connect to this device using the Wi-Fi that is provided with it. Obviously, it's a small antenna. It's not going to give you the greatest range, so I can't go very far from it, which is why I have mine on my home network. And I've literally run this cable up over my roof, down a vent, and into my router. And it's like about 100-foot long cable. Well worth it, especially with the speeds I'm getting in capturing my images to my PC when the night is over. I'll talk about all this stuff later. Let's keep going. This is the mini scope. This guide scope keeps this in precision alignment with the night sky, because this mount cannot see everything. It's blind. This guides the mount and tells it where the stars are using some very sophisticated math and detection of pixel movement. Another important aspect to astrophotography is this electronic autofocuser. I swear by them. They are different per each type of telescope. Some telescope types don't even have very good compatible, if at all, electronic autofocuser. Another reason why I recommend a Schmidt-Cassegrain, especially the Celestron series. Celestron, you guys rock. You made these great scopes. I gotta hand you props while I'm on this video. But this electronic autofocuser is compatible with most, if not all, Celestron CPCs and SCTs. If you literally remove it, the old focuser, and put this guy on, you might want to look up a couple videos on that. I will be glad to help and make some videos later. And this piece right here will keep you in focus all night long. Even as the temperatures change and this equipment flexes and it gets stiffer or harder, this will recognize a temperature differential and immediately give a pause to the astrophotography, refocus during your session, and resume automatically thanks to the ASI Air. All of these pieces of equipment make astrophotography very fun, as if it wasn't fun before. Before any of this existed, people had to go out and look at the night sky and manually track the stars with their scope, and manually do this with a camera and try and get the images and expose for 2 hours, and then wake up the next day and realize, man, I screwed something up. Better luck next night. And they go out the next night. Oh, clouds. Oh, a full moon. Not enough photons to be seen because that full moon is just blown away all my deep space objects. Oh, it's raining. Oh, it's too windy. It's cold. It's dusty. So many things affect astrophotography that in order to get it right, you want to have all the right equipment at the exact right time, and you shoot and you get beautiful celestial galactic objects that will just make your eyes go, wow, I have never seen such spectacular events that could be occurring right above me. And the best part about it is these photons, by the time they hit your eye, they've been traveling for possibly 1 million, if not millions of years. Space is a phenomenal thing. That's why I like astrophotography. You can do this in your backyard. You can do this under the city. The lights of the suburbs all can be managed. If you think you can't do it, I'm here to tell you you are wrong. I'm here to help you. I will help you by telling you what filters to use. There is an L-enhanced filter, amazing at filtering out these phosphorus-based lights and other lights that you get pollution from in the night sky. Even I am near Phoenix, and I can shoot through their horrific light pollution. I'm in a Bortle Zone 5, basically. And I'll explain what Bortle zones are. That is a light pollution management term. Back to the scope. Everything here that you see in red has been made by ZWO, an amazing company. They have a good foothold on this market, and there's one competitor we'll talk about later that some people might recommend going to because they're cheaper and offer some of the same equipment. But I like ZWO because it's tried, tested, and true, and I've gotten great pictures and great support from that company. This camera right here, this is a 2600 camera, a ZWO ASI 2600 monochrome pro. You have to cool these cameras. It is not like your ordinary camera. You probably had no idea what this thing was when you first looked at it on my channel, and you're like, why is there a red barrel on a black barrel? This is designed for astrophotography. You can use typical DLSR camera. And they make adapters that you can put on in front of your Hyperstar and gather data, and that is okay too. I like to do deeper space objects, like I keep saying, and I have a very specific image ratio that I like to capture them in. Some people like to do wide field and take in the entire night sky. I've seen people track the Milky Way as it goes overhead, and those are phenomenal, amazing pictures. But again, I like this particular setup. They make color cameras and black and white cameras, and I will go into the differences between those two later on in my channel. I will make more videos about this. For those of you who are just joined in and want to know more about astrophotography, again, I'm here to give you that knowledge. Once again, I am Astral Exposure. Thanks for watching. Please give me any questions, any comments. There are no stupid questions. This is very complicated. There is an art form to it, but I'm here to simplify it, explain it, make these technical terms far more compatible with everybody's knowledge, break it down for you. And again, thanks for watching. Hit like and subscribe if you want. Leave questions below. Have a good night.